So I am live right now, and I'm doing this. I'm just jumping in. I've thought about it, and I chicken out, and I chicken out. So I'm just gonna talk a little bit and waste some time while maybe some people see that it's live. And yeah, no one's watching yet, so that's okay. I guess that makes it less ominous and less threatening. So I'm driving for work right now on the East Coast, and I'm just outside of DC, and I started getting really tired. So I thought, well, I wonder what I can do to keep myself awake, and didn't have anybody to talk to. So I thought, well, if I talk, then maybe that'll keep me awake, and if I express some thoughts, then maybe that'll keep me awake. So that's what I'm doing. And yeah, so thought that I would lay some tunes on you. I don't know how to write music. That is music itself. Words I can do. So I wrote a song to the tune of "Just Breathe" by Pearl Jam. So I'm gonna debut that right now, and hope you enjoy it. It kind of comes from where we all start off if we're in the truth movement in any area really, but in particular with the flat earth. That's what this song's about. So try to remember the words. I did a little bit of rehearsing before this, so we'll see how it goes. And then if you hear all this background noise, it's when I'm running over the bumps in the road on 95, and so all of our tax money going to our smooth roads here on the Beltway outside of DC. Yeah, so here we go. This is called Just See. Yeah, I remember when I began to see again. Oh, my world was rearranged and I began to change. Oh, yeah, I know what you'll say. It's crazy to think this way, I know. Now that I can see, oh, come along with me down this road. Let's just see, oh, come and see. Water's not convex, never gonna see it curve, oh no. There's too much we can see that we should never see if it did. Yeah, I don't feel the spin, there's no way that it is, can't believe. Come and see, oh, let's just see. Please don't say that I'm stupid. Oh, please don't say that I'm foolish. Oh, no, but if you do, well, then I guess we will see. No one knows this more than me, 'cause I can see the wonder of the world. Oh, every boy and girl, oh, they had everything presented on a screen. Oh no, presented on the screen. Oh, they had everything. Did they say it was gravity? Oh no. Did they say it was spinning? Oh no, but if they did, well, they're the fools, you see. No one knows this more than me. I can see I presented on a screen. Oh, they had everything. Don't believe the lie. Try, come with me and try. And then I started working on a new song that was a little more fun, a little throwback to the 80s. The song called Magic by Pilot. So this is a little less, yeah, a little still ominous to do this in live, but whatever. So, la la, la la. Gotta get the jitters out by being a little bit goofy here. So, so Magic by Pilot. Oh ho ho, it's magic, you know. Cannot believe that it's real. Gravity, oh no. Cannot believe that it's true. Never seen the earth curve. Never seen a star swerve. Shouldn't see the full moon in the noonday. Crazy day ahead. Gonna flat smack globe heads. Try to talk some sense into their noggins, yeah. Oh ho ho, it's magic. You know, never believe that it's real. Gravity, oh no. Never believe that it's true. Yeah, that's about as far as I got with that one, so we'll see if I try to figure the next verse out. But anyway, all right, so I'm sure I've talked enough to where people might be tuning in, and if I hadn't scared them off with that horrible singing, then I might still have an audience. So as I said before, I am doing this right now because I'm driving and I've got an hour left and I was getting tired, and so I thought that this would stimulate my senses, and yeah, I'm a little bit more awake now. So I want to talk about some things that I've been thinking about the past couple of days. I watched Authentic Intent do some of his on the street evangelism for Flat Earth, and he was being asked repeatedly by some of the passersby about, why he was doing what he was doing, and he was pointing out that it's a matter of truth, it's an issue of truth, and they just didn't seem persuaded by it. So I thought that I would talk through a little bit of the Saint Nick fallacy and bring it back to Flat Earth. Excuse me. Imagine again the Saint Nick fallacy is the fact that the major premise that Santa Claus is real is false. So it doesn't really matter how good the minor premises are to support that false major premise. Doesn't matter. And for children, they don't necessarily process those minor premises, but they have the questions that prompt those minor premises to follow up the major premise. So the major premise is, of course, that once a year Santa Claus brings toys to all of the good girls and boys. And the story and the narrative of that has the impossible, has the miraculous, has the magic of Christmas, right? So how does Santa Claus get down the chimney again, Mom? And then she gives the excuse of how Santa Claus gets down the chimney. But then little Johnny, when he's 8 years old now, and he looks back, he's wait a minute, we moved from our other house that had a chimney, and the house that we have now doesn't have a chimney. Mom, how does Santa Claus get in our house now because we don't have a chimney? Well, Johnny, I'm glad that you asked. Well, you see, your father leaves the key out under the mat for Santa, and now he just comes in the front door. So you see the minor premise that is supposed to support the major premise narrative is false because the major premise is false. So it doesn't really matter how much sense it might make to an 8-year-old. Oh, well, that makes sense. You left the key out for him. Okay. But then, when he gets older, he's like, wait a minute, Mom. Santa Claus writes my name just like you do. So, what's up with that? All right, now, 13 years of lies, and the mom is going to say, okay, now what? Am I going to keep lying, or am I just going to come clean and tell Johnny that there is no Santa Claus? Well, Johnny, Well, you see, Santa Claus can write your name just like everybody else's mommy and daddy. See, so that's just another lie built upon a lie. And that's the same situation with the heliocentric model. The heliocentric model is based on a false major premise. So it doesn't really matter how much we try to understand the minor premises that support the major premise. If the major premise is false, everything after that is false by nature. Okay? That's why I call it the St. Nick fallacy. But the question that if you're ever asked, why does this matter? It's an issue of truth. So then what I was thinking about was, imagine if there was another twist to the story of gifts at Christmas. Imagine that parents not only lied to their children that there is a Santa Claus and that he brings toys to all of the good girls and boys. Imagine if parents also said, Johnny, you actually have to do chores to earn money because we have to send that money to Santa Claus so that he can pay for your toys, because he has a workload of elves that he has to pay. He has overhead and the feed for the deer, the reindeer, those reindeer, they can't fly without the magic pellets. So you have to do chores. And instead of paying you for your labor, we're going to take that money and then send it off to Santa Claus. So then parents are not only lying about Santa, they're also extorting money. So that's what our government is doing. Our government is lying to us, and they're extorting money. So ask your passersby. I love this road. Ask your passersby, would that upset you if you were a child and you figured out that your parents were not only lying to you, but they were also extorting money from you? Yeah, I think that would be a little bit upsetting. So that was one thing I was thinking about. The other thing I was thinking about the other day, that I've had some interaction with a friend of mine on Facebook, and he brought up the Verrazzano Bridge that connects Statland. And the Verrazzano Bridge is 2.5 miles long, if I'm not mistaken. And there's a point in the middle where the two towers that support the bridge are 1,300 miles apart. And if you look up on Wikipedia, or if you Google the Verrazzano Bridge, the Wikipedia article is pretty much the first one that comes up. But if you look at that and read through that, and you get to the description tab down at the bottom, the description tab goes through the explanation that the Verrazzano Bridge has curvature. So they explain the curvature as a divergence between the two towers at the very tippy tops. Okay, that's a little homage to Sleeping Warrior from the Flat Earth debate. He always says tippy tops. But the two towers on the Verrazzano Bridge, it's explained in the article, they are perpendicular to the Earth. So they are built at a 90-degree angle, but they arc away from each other at 1 5/8 of an inch. Now, the article doesn't explain how it was determined that there is actually a divergence of 1 5/8 inch. It doesn't explain how. It just says that it is, and it says that it is because of curvature. Right? Now, in that same description, there is a footnote. There are 3 footnotes. The footnotes are from 1974. There's a book that was written in 1974, so there was no reference to look up at that moment, because you'd have to buy the book and then read the book to find out where the reference is for the Verrazzano Bridge. But 1974 is the earliest reference. Then there's an article for 2010, and there's an article for 2014. But both of those articles are just echo chambers. They just simply say the same thing. The Verrazzano Bridge was the longest bridge up until 1960-something. It was built in 1954, and it's actually a bridge that demonstrates the curvature of the Earth. But again, If you just are glossing over it, you're not going to think through it, but it doesn't go through proving how they determined that. So we have to guess how they determined it. So I'm open for suggestions. Anybody want to look that up, Verrazzano Bridge, and and give me your thoughts on that, your processes on trying to put that together. What's interesting about that is that then we need to realize that every bridge that is over a mile long then is going to have that kind of divergence, because the Verrazzano Bridge is the towers are 1,300 meters apart, which I believe is roughly somewhere around like 3,300 feet. So it's less than a mile. But within that less than a mile distance, there's 1 5/8 inch of curvature. So if you think about that, then any bridge that's over a mile long is going to have curvature according to the model. And as I think about it right now, I wonder if simply they just are imposing the curvature idea on the bridge and then simply worked out the math. But then that would be not an experiment. It would just simply be a theoretical expression of curvature through math. But I just thought of that right now. But also, interestingly, on my travels, there is a Tidings Bridge in Maryland that crosses over the Susquehanna. And that is actually 1 mile exact. And as you're going along, whereas I was going along, I was trying to just pay attention and kind of get a feel visually and just get a sense. It seems to me that the south side and the north side are level, so that everything in between is level, but it's a mile long. And if we follow that idea, and it's concrete, okay? If we follow the idea of the Verrazzano Bridge, where the 2 points of the towers are less than a mile, but have curvature, then the Tidings Bridge, which is a mile long, so it's longer than the 2 points on the Verrazzano Bridge, then that concrete structure is going to have curvature. And as I think back now, the article for the Verrazzano Bridge said that the bridge was constructed with the curvature in mind. But they didn't construct the bridge with curvature. That's just the way it turned out. Again, the 2 points of structure that are the towers are perpendicular. All right, so I changed lanes without signaling. That's what that noise was. It sounded like a woodpecker. So the 2 towers on the Verrazzano Bridge are built at a 90-degree angle. So they didn't build those towers with the arc in mind and leaning away from each other. So it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really make sense to me where it says that they built the bridge with the curvature in mind, because the towers are 90 degrees. That's the way you build bridges. That's the way you build buildings. You build them at a 90-degree angle, and that's just the way you build them. So that's just curious as well. You can give me some feedback on that thought. But again, think about the fact that the Tidings Bridge is pure concrete and rebar, and it doesn't curve. So I think that those are 2 interesting points to consider. So those are 2 things that I was thinking about this week. One thing that I'd like to flesh out a little bit more, but I'll say it now, and that is that you'll see a lot of Christians who are flat earthers who talk about the Bible being a flat earth book. And they'll say, when I was a heliocentric believer, I never really thought about these particular verses in the Bible that say the earth is firm and fixed, and the earth will not be moved, and the 4 corners of the earth. But now that I'm a flat earther, those verses totally make sense. I can just see it now. I'm going to take issue with that. I'm a Christian and I'm a flat earther, but I'm going to say pretty pretty firmly that the Bible is not a flat earth book, because the Bible's not concerned with flat earth, and it doesn't make passive statements that just happen to fit with a flat earth model. The Bible is a historical book that has symbolic stories in it that use patterns and constructs and ideas to communicate its message. The Bible is concerned with the history of Israel as a nation, as that nation prepares for the coming of their Messiah. And so the thing that we need to understand is that's the focus of the story from Genesis to Revelation, okay? And the statements in it that say that the earth is fixed and firm and will not be moved and has four corners is something that we need to talk about in terms of translation, because the Hebrew word for earth is eretz, and it's actually not the word for earth, because the Hebrew Bible and the Greek Bible don't have words for earth. If by earth we mean a spinning globe, okay? The word eretz in the Hebrew and the word gay, gamma eta, gay, which is where we get geology, G-E, gamma eta, G-E, those two words mean, their denotation is land. It just means land. It means a geographical plot of land. So when we read in the Bible the land of Israel, or the land of Egypt, or the land of Shinar, or the land of Babylon, that's the word eretz. But when the translators come to places where they think it means a bigger plot of land, like the whole earth, they don't translate eretz as land, they translate it as earth. And that really messes up the meaning of the text. We're not going to be able to get into every nook and cranny of those, but like I said, I just want to wet your whistle for that. So along these lines, just like I don't use Genesis chapter 1 as a defense against evolution. See, it says here that God created the world in 6 days, and so that goes against the pattern of evolution, because evolution talks about years of the process of the world developing. And the book says what it means is what it says. And 6 days creation. And whenever we see that reference in the Old Testament, we need to understand that that's the context that we need to put that in. All right. So yeah, as I said, I'm going to do a follow-up episode on that and talk a little bit more, because it's a very, very helpful way of considering translation and interpretation, because it's far-reaching. It's not just simply up for grabs in terms of, well, you can't say that the Bible doesn't talk about that. Well, yeah, I actually can, because we have to understand the greater story that's being told. And that puts a limit on what we do with the text itself. All right, so there you go. I am now closer to home. I'm now fully awake. So thanks. Thanks for coming along with me on this ride. Thanks for hanging in there and sticking with it. So whatever I've said, if anything struck you funny or made you think, or if you have a question or a challenge or a rebuttal or whatever, make sure that you leave a comment. Make sure that you subscribe if you are listening to this and you're not subscribed yet, and then push the bell notification so that you can be notified when something exciting like live streaming is going on. And then also share. Make sure you share, because we want to get the word out, and the more you share, the more people hear. And so there you go. All right, this is Travis Finley with The Plain Truth, rethinking the curve. Until next time. I don't know what to do. I'm drifting off on the lane. Come back. How do I stop this? Am I still live? I have no idea how to turn this off. Drifting. I'm okay. I'm not dying. Shouldn't be doing this while I'm driving.